Yo, I'm Yovan Buha, Lakers beat writer for The Athletic, and welcome to another Lakers postgame reaction. The Lakers beat the lowly Washington Wizards 134 to 131 in overtime. They win their second straight game, complete the 2-0 sweep of the back-to-back, and they improve to 33 and 28. And look, this was an ugly win, but a win nonetheless, and a win the Lakers desperately needed. LeBron James had said last night that last night's win against the Clippers would not have meant anything if the Lakers didn't come out and take care of business against the Wizards, and they did that. And they got really close to what probably would have been their worst loss of the season when considering the opponent, when considering the caliber of opponents that the Wizards have beaten this season. If you look at their schedule, they've basically only beaten the other worst teams in the league. They've beaten the Pistons twice. They've beaten the Spurs, the Hornets, the Blazers, the Nets. Their best win was the Pacers, but that was right after the in-season tournament when the Pacers, just like the Lakers, were going through a bit of a rough patch. So losing this game would have been a complete disaster, and it almost happened. But a couple of key moments that stood out to me. One, the Lakers subbed out LeBron at the 3:26 mark of the fourth quarter, and they wanted to give him a breather. Unfortunately, we didn't get to talk to Darvin Ham about this. We missed they started his post-game press conference a little bit early, and so missed part of it. And then I had a question about LeBron's chase down block on Jordan Poole and how important that was. And in going over the post-game transcript, there was nothing about it. So we don't know the reason why Darvin chose to sub LeBron out at that moment. But clearly, it seemed like he wanted to give him a breather. I think it would have made more sense to do that a little bit earlier in the quarter, not in the middle of crunch time with the game still undecided. But, based on when LeBron went back to the scorers table to check back in, it was about a minute later, but there was no stoppage in play over the next minute. Some fast break, situations going back and forth, and LeBron ends up re-entering the game at the 1:11 mark. So he ends up sitting over 2 minutes, 2 minutes and 15 seconds to be exact. And during that whole time, Darvin Ham had 2 timeouts and did not elect to use, didn't need to use both, obviously, but could have used one to get LeBron back in with, again, the game still undecided, and the Lakers offense and their defense, not playing particularly well during that LeBron-less stretch. So that almost cost the Lakers. They were lucky that, I thought the Wizards didn't take advantage of that enough of not having LeBron on the floor. They also, the Lakers replaced LeBron with Spencer Dinwiddie, so they got a bit smaller on the perimeter. And, part of that was to match up with the Wizards, and they were going pretty small. But I think the Lakers were playing with some fire there, and it was kind of head scratching as to why they did not elect to call a timeout, why they didn't elect to put LeBron in sooner. And again, I know that the plan was appeared to be rest him for a minute, but it felt like that should have been done earlier in the quarter. And once it got past that minute mark, if you have to call a timeout on the next possession, you call a timeout. So it didn't end up costing the Lakers, but I think had the Lakers lost this game, we would have looked back at that stretch as one of the things that led to it. Second pivotal moment from this game for me was LeBron James' chase down block on Jordan Poole. So the Lakers have a turnover. LeBron said it was a miscommunication between him and AD. And we've seen this hundreds of times before. I think the most famous play of LeBron James's career is that chase down block on Andre Iguodala in Game 7 of the 2016 NBA Finals. For all the accolades, 4-time MVP, 4-time Finals MVP, 4-time champion, all-time leading scorer, the thing that LeBron is most known for is that block. And we've seen the chase down blocks dating back to the early days in Cleveland, and he continues to do it in LA. Not once a game, but feels like almost once every 2 or 3 games he'll have just one of these insane chase down blocks out of nowhere. I felt Jordan Poole got a little too cute with it. He felt he had an uncontested layup and, almost stalled for like a half second. And that's all LeBron needs. And even so, I mean, LeBron in transition is just on both ends of the floor is just an absolute freight train. And he had an interesting revelation post game that he does track when he's following a guy. He's tracking, am I going to go left hand? Am I going to go right hand? He's trying to get his strides matched up with the player in transition. So I thought that was a really cool insight from him in terms of just what he's thinking when he's getting one of these chase down blocks. But that play was huge because the Wizards were up 3 and Lakers turned the ball over. Looks like Jordan Poole is about to get a layup. The Wizards about to go up 5 about midway through the overtime. And with the way that the Lakers offense was going at that point, there was no guarantees that they were going to be able to make up that deficit. And that would have been a big confidence boost for Washington at a minimum. But LeBron blocks it. The Wizards quickly corral the offensive rebound. And Kyle Kuzma gets it. Then he takes a pull-up 28-foot three-pointer that misses. Lakers get the rebound, and LeBron ISOs Kuzma on the right wing, dances with him a bit, and hits a step-back 3 on him to tie the game. So that's a 5-point swing that could have been Wizards up 5. Now all of a sudden, Lakers are tied, and from that point on, Washington did not score the rest of overtime. Lakers only scored 3 more points, but that's all they needed to get the win. So to me, that was the play of the game. And just another example of the sense of urgency that LeBron has been playing with post All-Star break and the commitment to defense that he's shown post All-Star break with taking on Kevin Durant in Phoenix, taking on Kawhi Leonard in the Clippers matchup. And then at the end of this game, that just amazing play that really, in my opinion, saved the game and ended up sealing it for the Lakers. They never trailed after that point once they tied it. And to me, LeBron, year 21, continues to amaze, continues to defy any and all expectations. And I've been really impressed with the defense. And I know it wasn't there consistently tonight. It wasn't really there for anyone on the Lakers other than Anthony Davis. But, for a guy to do that in year 21, age 39, and take on these individual challenges and then also make, incredible plays when the game is on the line. LeBron, I'm running out of things to say. I'm running out of adjectives to describe him. So takeaway number 1 for me from this game is the Lakers defense is concerning me. And I know I've mentioned that a bunch recently, but it continues to concern me. Giving up 131 points, I know it was in overtime, but 126 points in regulation, 131 points, including OT, to a Wizards team that, yes, they're young, they're athletic, they have a bunch of good shooting. They're number 1 in pace. But this was just, and it was the second night of a back-to-back. I understand all the context. Lakers are coming off the high of an important win over the Clippers. But to me, the defense has been very bad for quite a while now. So going back to January 23rd, the Lakers are 26th in the league in defensive rating. So they've been a bottom 5 defense for about 5 weeks now. And that's concerning when looking at their potential, playoff hopes and winning a play-in game or 2, or I guess 1, but depending on what seed they are. So winning a couple play-in games, winning a first-round matchup, the Lakers are going to have to play a baseline level of defense that has to be around league average, if not better. And they just have not been that caliber of defense for quite a while now. And part of it is personnel. Vando's out. Gabe hasn't been available. Christian Wood is another big body who is a really good defensive rebounder. I think he's been an underrated interior defender, capable of blocking shots, especially if AD is taking that primary assignment. Christian as a weak side guy, we've seen him have blocks, multiple block games in those situations. And then Cam has been out. He just came back, but only played 4 minutes due to what Darvin Ham described as soreness after the game. So I think a lot of this is personnel related, and the Lakers have had a tough stretch, and they do have a tough stretch coming up. But there's just like, to me, I look at the starting lineup, trends offensive, and though LeBron's defense has been better lately, they're still relying on a combination of LeBron, Rui, and Austin as like their perimeter stoppers. And I just think there's a ceiling there in at least a non-playoff setting. I think in a playoff setting, when those guys are able to just lock in entirely and give 120%, at all times and really lock into the game plan, like you can extract a bit more from that group, that trio defensively. But on an average regular season night, I just think that the baseline level of defense with that starting group is not where the Lakers ultimately need it to be. And that is an offensive group, right? And you have 5 guys who can all drop 20 points on a given night, 5 guys who could score from all 3 areas of the floor. And that group is worked. They're 8-1 with that group of starters, 11-3 in games that they play. So I've been an advocate for that lineup. So I'm by no means knocking it. I'm just saying the defensive side, has been a bit of a concern. And then I think you look at the rest of the rotation, and now you start subbing in Taurean Prince and Spencer Dinwiddie and Cam or Max, and like you're going so small for a lot of these stretches. And I'll get into the rotation. That's another takeaway. But I just think right now that the Lakers are really struggling defensively. AD mentioned miscommunication. He said that a lot of times a guy will communicate something, then someone will freelance or just not do it. Then other times guys are just freelancing and they think they have good intentions. They think they're doing the right thing, but the other 4 guys don't know what they're doing, and that leads to breakdowns. And then also this team has struggled with turnovers at times, and live ball turnovers lead to transition points and early offense for an opponent. So those are the 3 areas that AD highlighted post game. But the Lakers are gonna have to figure this out. I think getting back Vando, Christian, and Gabe to some extent, and getting Cam healthy will solve some of this. I think playing smaller lineups, fewer minutes will solve some of this. I think playing Taurean a little bit less and not playing him at the 4 and even at the 3 will solve some of this. But part of it's kind of just, the Lakers just haven't been a good defense for quite a while now. And they're starting to form almost the opposite identity that they had for the first half of the season. First half of the season, they were a borderline top 10 defense, kind of more in that like 11 to 13 range for a lot of the year. And they were a bottom 10, bottom 12, bottom 10 offense for most of the season. Now it's kind of flipped, where really good offense. I mentioned bottom 5 defense over this stretch of 5 weeks. They've been a top 5 offense during that stretch. So like the offense is carrying them, and the results are there. They're 11-6 over the last 17 games, which is this period I'm looking at. But I think when it comes to the highest levels of competition, like there was a reason why they were down 21 to the Clippers. There was a reason why the Wizards were able to hang around and have moments of this game late in the fourth quarter and overtime where it looked like they were going to win it. And it's been the defense. And I'm not sure exactly how to solve it. I don't get paid the big bucks for that, but I think it is a growing concern for me about when looking at how the Lakers match up with certain teams and just how far they can go in the playoffs. And I would like to see, like, they were able to turn it on against the Clippers in the fourth quarter. They were able to turn it on against the Wizards late in the fourth and into overtime. So like they do have that switch that they can flip, but the first 3 quarters of that Clippers game and the first 3.5 or so quarters of that Wizards game were concerning. And again, we have a 5-week sample size right now of them being a bottom 5 defense. So to me, the defense is a growing concern. It's been a growing concern for a bit, and it continues to they're just the point of attack defense, allowing dribble penetration, allowing the Wizards had 17 threes tonight. They were capitalizing off Laker turnovers. They were getting out in transition. They had 62 points in the paint. To me, it's just letting this Wizards team, they shot 51%. Like I think the overall defense has been subpar for quite some time now, and I just think that they're gonna have to figure this out if they really want to turn their season around and make a deep playoff run. it's going to have to come with some form of them figuring out their defense. Takeaway number 2 is the rotation was better against the Wizards. Cam Reddish only played 4 minutes in the first half because he was experiencing soreness. So Max Christie ended up playing 9 minutes. I thought he played well in those 9 minutes. Taurean Prince once again played 17 minutes. So the Lakers are now 15-2 in games that Taurean plays under 25 minutes, and that includes games he's missed. So I think there's a pretty clear formula of how to optimize the Lakers rotation, and that is playing Taurean more in that like 15 to 20 minute range rather than the 25 to 35 minute range that he's often been in this season. And again, he's never been much of a box score guy, but tonight, 2 points, 2 rebounds, 3 assists in 17 minutes. Like, he's just not doing much out there. And it's not like he's providing elite defense. Like, first play of the game, once again, gets scored on. Corey Kispert comes off a pin down and flares out and just drains a 3 on Taurean. And it's like, I really think the earlier workload has affected his defense. It's affected just his overall kind of energy and activity. And I think looking at the way that Cam played against the Clippers, looking at the way that Max played tonight, I think those guys are just better and they solve more issue. Like they're better point of attack defenders. In Cam's case, there's just a level of athleticism, a level of perimeter versatility on the defensive end. He could defend multiple positions, 1 through 3, even 1 through 4, depending on the matchup. And then with Max, he's more of like a 1 and 2, some threes, but really good defensive rebounder. Catch and shoot numbers are similar to Taurean. So like, I just think those two guys have given the Lakers more over the course of the season, frankly. And I would have both of those guys ahead of him in the pecking order. Lakers did play a bit bigger. So Jackson Hayes played 11 minutes. Spencer had 10 points. So like, I thought he was solid and continues to look more comfortable offensively. Defensively got blown by a bit, and that is a bit of a concern. But overall, I think the bench has been a weakness recently for this group, but I think the rotation is headed in the right direction. I think the Taurean piece is kind of the final thing, and we'll see ultimately, does Vando come back? Like, what happens when Christian comes back? Does Gabe come back? Like, there's still a lot of question marks with the rotation. Now, Cam, we'll see if he misses any additional time or if he's just fine going to the Denver game. But I'll say, tentatively, I think the rotation is headed in the right direction. Taurean's minutes have gone down. Jackson and Max played a little bit more, and that's what I think people have been clamoring for. And I think it's kind of been obvious, but I still think there's too many 3 guards with Taurean or Cam at the 4. Like, those bench lineups to me just don't make sense. I think you should try and have some combination of Jackson, AD, LeBron, and Rui. Like, 2 of those 4 guys should be on the floor at basically all times. And however you have to stagger the rotations, if you have to pull out Rui first or LeBron first, and then bring them back in and like just continue to stagger and keep that size on the floor, that's the recipe for success for this group. So to me, I think the rotation is looking better, but there's still some room for improvement. And again, with the Lakers' margin for error, all improvement matters. And I think they're getting just so close to optimizing the rotation, fully. And so overall, I think that's a positive trend. Third and final takeaway, and I touched on this a little bit earlier in the show, but I've been really impressed with LeBron James' sense of urgency. And I think you've seen what him being healthy can do for this Lakers group. Remember, at this point last season, he was out. He had been injured in that Dallas game, and then comes back with I believe it was 8 games remaining in the regular season, and still was an elite player, still playing at a very high level, but just wasn't ever fully himself. So I think the fact that he's been able to stay healthy, the fact that he's he did miss the Golden State game, that did hurt the Lakers, but I think he was getting some treatment. He took some time off, and that rest has really benefited him, where I think from a physicality perspective, he's looking like the LeBron from a bit earlier in the season. I think he had been in a little bit of a lull by his standards, like entering the All-Star break. Not quite at the level that we're accustomed to, though. Again, I mean, he's just a walking like 27, 7, and 7. I mean, LeBron could do that in his sleep, but I think you're seeing some elite performances from him. Again, I think he had a really good game in that Phoenix game. Of course, he was amazing down the stretch in the Clippers game. And then again tonight, I think had 15 points entering the fourth quarter. So between overtime and between the fourth and overtime, scored 16 points to get up to 31, and really was just, once again running pick and rolls, targeting certain defenders, and making plays for his teammates. Had a couple passes to D'Lo, one for a layup, one for a three. Had a nice dish inside to AD. So I think there have been times where I've wondered about LeBron's level of buy-in. I think some of his post-game comments and just some of his body language on the court and just like little things that you pick up on. Like there have been times where I've wondered, and it was clear he wanted the Lakers to be aggressive at the trade deadline. He wanted them to make a move. They didn't do that. And, it was kind of like, which way is this going to go? But coming out of the All-Star break, he's been on board. And I thought it was telling that he played in this game when he could have easily sat out. And I don't think anyone would have blamed him after the Clippers game of, again, 39, year 21, like with all this mileage on him. He's been playing so many minutes this season. And for him to decide to suit up, still play, ended up playing, 38 minutes, including overtime. Like that to me is just, I think it's telling of his mindset and his mind state and just what he's trying to do with this group. And that I think his attitude has been different in the locker room. I think things have been a lot lighter, and I think he's had just this great energy and spirit to him. And I think it showed on the floor again with the defense and the defensive plays. And then on top of it, offensively, really going into LeBron mode of, I'm just going to dictate everything. I'm going to arrange the chess pieces all over the board, and I'm going to get the matchups and run the offense the way I want to and the way I know is successful and can beat just about any defense. So I just wanted to acknowledge that, like, AD, monster game from him. He was really had a dominant performance. I think he had 34 entering the fourth and ended up with 40. But he drew 9 fouls on the Wizards bigs and just incredible job of getting to the rim, putting pressure on it and drawing fouls and making his free throws and making his face up jumpers and finishing through contact and like all that stuff. Like AD was phenomenal tonight. And I think in terms of like the defense and his energy and stuff like that, he's been Mr. Consistent, for the most part for majority of the season. And he's had a couple stinkers, like look at that Phoenix first half. But for the most part, AD has been Mr. Consistent and is at least delivered on the defensive end, but for the most part offensively as well. Whereas LeBron, I think, again, it hadn't been as consistent recently, but coming out of the All-Star break, he's had this sense of urgency that I think has been very palpable and has really done wonders for the Lakers. So that is another sign of encouragement along with the rotation moving forward. But the Lakers have a big game on Saturday. They're playing the Denver Nuggets, team that's beat them 7 times in a row, team that I think there is a little bit of a mental hurdle there. And beating, we'll see if Jamal Murray plays, but beating a Nuggets team with or without Jamal Murray, I think would do wonders for the Lakers' confidence, for their momentum, and for their season. Also, another subplot, like not to be lost in all this, is LeBron is 9 points away from the 40,000 point mark. And he's already the all-time leading scorer, but no one has ever scored 40,000 points. It's a nice whole number, and he's almost certainly going to break it because he has the longest double-digit scoring streak in NBA history. So if he scores 10 points against the Nuggets, he will break it. Just 9, but he'll likely get to 10. So that's another cool thing about it. The one thing with that is the Lakers have tended to lose the games that LeBron breaks records in. So we'll see if they can break that trend. But overall, I think a lot of excitement around that game. Big matchup against Denver, kicks off really the hard part of this homestand. And then also the subplot of LeBron passing 40K. And speaking of 40K, I'm on my way. I want to get there one day. And if you enjoyed this video, please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn on that notification button. I will be back tomorrow with a vlog from the game. And then I will be doing a live stream actually later in the day. You heard it here first. Tentatively planning 3 p.m., but I will schedule it. I'm looking at 3 or 4 p.m. Pacific time on Friday afternoon. So hope to see you during the live stream. And yeah, that's all I have for you tonight. Thank you for watching, and I will talk to you soon.